Hey, welcome back. I've got a very fun video for you today. I'd be remiss if I didn't at least give a couple honorable mentions because it was so hard picking out this list. And honestly, if I spent another hour on it, I could probably even do better. But I wanted to come up with the most practical and impractical pairs of pens and knives for everyday carry for my collection and bring those out for you. So I'm going to start with the least extreme and work my way to the most extreme. A couple honorable mentions. Very practical now. The Oz Machine Company pens are now down in the low 100s. A Wee Banter, super practical everyday carry. Very impractical if I were to carry my old Demko AD20. This thing is, can't be replaced at this point. This is one of the originals. Maybe you say some of the Magnus ClickShift Skelly or a FocusWorks Sideswipe, just because they're very out of stock within minutes after they drop. But here's what I came up with. So on the practical side first, very, very practical modern fuel bolt pen. I think these cost around 70 bucks or so. And then maybe not super, super duper practical, and these are steel, so it's a little heavy, so it's not on the most extreme, but this Spyderco Para 3, readily available anytime, a bit expensive though, but very practical carry, but not the most extreme practicality, which we'll get to. Now, on the less practical, Boatright, full custom folding knife. Chase Boatright makes these out of Alabama. You can see this one has a Hornet's Nest Damascus steel. This is a pretty extreme, nice knife, mother of pearl on the pivot there. And then a Herman Epika, and again, I had so many options here. I did try and only limit everything to one maker, otherwise I would have been going crazy with a few makers. So only one pen and knife per maker. So this is on the pretty extreme end of not super practical, because you're talking $1,000 knife and like a $350 pen or something like that sell out pretty quickly when this particular pattern comes out. But they're in stock, and Chase's stuff doesn't fly off the market as fast as everyone's, so not the most extreme impractical pen and knife. Now we'll come back. Another very practical option here on the EDC would be the Demko Shark Cub. Just disappears in the pocket, super lightweight. Man, this thing is just a phenomenal carry. It's like one of my top most carried knives. And then from a pen perspective, you have the new machine era bolt pen. They're going for around like 70 bucks or something for a bolt pen. It's pretty unprecedented. Again, this is a steel body, so it's a little heavier, so it didn't make the most extreme practicality, but dang, that's a really, really good pen for the price. All of these so far being very practical on the left, and we'll go impractical on the right. If I were to carry the Magnus Bolty, which he no longer makes, I don't know if he'll ever bring this model back. It has this super cool pocket clip that's ultra deep carry, and it came with this really cool custom carbon fiber titanium carrying case, maybe aluminum actually. Carrying case is just an insane pen for its time. These days, not so much, but the rarity would make it pretty crazy. I could not replace this if I were to lose it, so that makes it pretty extreme. And then probably my most rare knife, if I were to lose it, this would be very problematic to replace the Hansen Onyx. Just a beautiful hand-rubbed M390 blade on that. And on the extreme end of nicest knives in my collection, probably the one I get asked to sell the most at this point, if I'd be interested in selling. That's just a phenomenal example of a very rare knife that a maker only makes a few of those a year, so very, very hard to get. All right, let's jump back to practical. I have the Benchmade Bugout Mini. It's, again, one of my most carried knives, and also an extremely lightweight here pen, the Aerocrafted. They do sell out of these sometimes, but they're generally available. This is the Click pen, and you can replace it with any Parker size refill. just ultra compact in the pocket. You know, these bug outs readily available from REI, any basically retail outlet that sells knives. Very easy to get, or just from their website. So that'd be on the pretty extreme end of practicality, but getting into the, you know, a little more expensive, but very nice there on both ends. And then let's see, on the Impractical side, the Confounded machine, man, these things sell out fast. This was actually the first one ever made in this pattern. And I just saw a drop. These are going for in the 300s at this point. This would be a pretty impractical one for me to carry. The first one in this pattern ever made. It's called ISO Grip. And then the Oz Machine Company full Damascus knife. That is a pretty crazy blade on that one. And he only makes these once a year or so. That'd be pretty impractical for me to carry this, but also an awesome knife. Probably more practical for me to carry than the Demko because it's just more carryable, but definitely very hard to get and cost me more than the Demko. So it is getting ranked pretty high there. Sorry, one split second. Okay, and I cheated a little bit here, but coming back to the practical side, I have the Benchmade Bugout full size. This one is a little harder to get, but you know, replace it with a regular Bugout. This one's the Blade HQ. I think it's in stock though, with the 20 CV blade and the G10 handles. Awesome carry knife. And then I did cheat a little bit here just because this pen is so different than the other one. It's at least a different model. The Magnus ClickShift, when he switched this to the V3 with the more sustainable pocket clip and was charging like 197 bucks. It's still an expensive pen and you wouldn't want to lose it, but he made a lot of these. They're pretty readily available from anyone. If you put out a want to buy on either his Facebook page or on Reddit or whatever, that's not the most extreme hard to get pen, but also a really nice lightweight titanium pen that's very practical for carrying. And I'm a very big fan. So that's pretty, maybe I should put this one up here. If I were being smart, this would probably swap with this from a price perspective in terms of practicality, quote unquote, because I threw in the Magnus pen. I had a little mix up there and almost ended up with this ending up on this side, so sorry. Now coming back to fairly extreme impracticality, and we're second to highest impracticality here, is the SPK Lamia with the Baker Forge copper Sanmai. It's copper nickel Sanmai Damascus. Whew, beauty of a knife, nice and lightweight. So in one sense, it's practical to carry, but you're talking about a $3,000 knife here, and one that would be pretty painful if you were to lose. And then right up there with the rarity, the Machinewise ROTA V1. This one actually has a really nice little case that it came with a number on the plate. So it's actually a numbered pen. And man, he just redesigned these because this was so unsustainable to make this mechanism. So this was jockeying for number one, number two, because it's rarer than my number one choice, but you'll see why my number one is what it is. But this Machinewise ROTA would be very impractical for me to carry because it'd be absolutely irreplaceable. One of the hardest pens to get from people on the secondary market right now, and thus, you know, really tops the number one, number two spot. For me, number two, because I don't like it as much as my number one pen, but man, quite a awesome example of a rare pen. Plus, those anodes match the copper so nicely. It just had to be there. Oh, I have this backwards. All right, let's get into number one. Number one, most practical EDC knife, and it is easily the CJRB Pyrite. It is such a good knife for $49. It is steel, so it's a little heavier, but man, it doesn't get much practical than this. ARPM9 steel on it. Just sharpen it when it goes dull, which it will, because it's not the most extreme. But that is my number one most practical, along with the Everyday Kara's bolt action pen for $29. Oh my God, this entire EDC kit costs $80 for an aluminum pen, a steel knife with a steel handled knife with a decent powder form metal blade. This is a G2 refill in it. $29. I'm giving these away as gifts to people like all the time, left and right. I just buy a few extras when I buy one, and God, the price is just so insane. Just gave one to the guy that painted my house. I was just like, hey man, you did an awesome job. Here you go. Okay, the most impractical pen to carry right now in my collection is the Zirconium Smooth Precision Pens version 2.2. This is full zirconium on the body, on the bolt, and on the matched pocket clip. So hard to replace if I were to lose this. It is doable. I did just see someone find a similar pen. So it is doable if you're at the top of the game. But man, what a beautiful pen. One of the best ever made. Calvin may be coming back and starting up another pen business soon here along with knives. But man, it would very much pain me to lose this. So it's very high on my list of impractical pens to carry right now for me. And matching and exceeding that, because it's so impractical on the price, is my full custom VC Edge interface number 200. This was the 200th knife that Jason ever made. He and I worked on custom R&D to add in this see-through thumb stud, which he'd never made before on another pen. I just thought this would be such a cool, I'm sorry, on another knife. I just thought this would be such a cool knife if it had a thumb stud that you could thumb flick and finger flick, and it is. I still actually like the flipper most, which if you know my videos, I'm not a big flipper fan, but anyways, around $5,000 for this full custom Damascus steel blade interfaced into carbon fiber with inlaid carbon fiber with inlaid titanium windows. You can see the Damascus lock on there. Damascus is the most extreme. It only weighs 1.4 and some change ounces. The most extreme. If I were to carry this, although it is very carryable, boy, the cost of loss on that alone would be very painful. And Jason's struggled to continue to make knives. He's made less than 300 of these knives in total. I happen to be lucky enough to have 2 of them. I would feel very that is a very impractical carry for me right now, my most expensive knife. So there were a lot of alternatives to this. I really wanted my BilletSPIN full Damascus to be in here. It was in the video last year, but you kind of got to put them in the right place. Maybe that one could have gone here. That probably should have gone there instead of the Herman Epika. But yeah, I pulled these videos together pretty quickly. So that is all for now. I hope you enjoyed the most practical and the most impractical knives and pens in my collection video, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.